Shooting for stars, but I couldn't read the given. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes.
Well, that was absolutely beautiful. What a great way to start the Butterfly Bash by seeing these students, let's say, quote unquote, together.
Right.
Their voices, though, together as one, and that is such a joy to see. You know, Grant Us Hope does such incredible work. It is critical, life-saving work. And so, of course, I'm so happy to welcome you into the 2020 Butterfly Bash.
Well, and Tanya, thank you again for serving as a host for this event. You've done this for us for years, and we just certainly appreciate you being here. It's really special.
Happy to.
Thanks. You know, October is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and we have really, is more than important right now that we focus on youth mental health and suicide prevention. You know, as we work through the quarantine, our young people went through and experienced a lot of anxiety, depression, feel lonely. They weren't able to connect with their friends or really have much of a normal life. And so it's so important that we, as we move forward, help those young people as they are trying to get back into what the new normal is going to be. And so, you know, our mission at Grant Us Hope is to educate, engage, and empower young people to not only be there to help support each other when they're down and out, but also to change the culture of their school. And that's such important in terms of having a major impact on what's happening with our young people. And so we do that by putting Hope Squads, peer-to-peer organizations in schools where young people can have a direct conversation and support those who are struggling. As a matter of fact, we just hit a new landmark.
You did?
We did, 150 schools across Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky.
That is really amazing.
It is awesome progress, absolutely.
In such a short period
2 years.
of time, just 2 years. That's how dedicated this staff is. And I'm going to tell you what, you're going to hear from a lot of parents, teachers, principals, staff, people who are working to make Grant Us Hope and the Hope Squad successful across our area and to make sure that our children are staying safe while they're at school, while they're at home every single day. Now, these stories of hope will bring to life just how critical this work is. And you all know that this is life-saving, not just something that we should all be like, wow, this is great. No, this is absolutely a life-saving thing. Why we need your support, too, to continue to grow and support this, because after all, while we are far apart and while you are virtual with us, this is a fundraiser.
Absolutely, and you know, our goal for tonight is to add 20 more schools across Ohio, across the region really, here in the Midwest. That costs about $100,000, so we're going to need everyone's help and support in making that goal a reality this evening. So we are going to have a variety of hope stories this evening, and hopefully that will encourage you to be part of this movement and to help support the great work that young people are doing in our area. So let's get started. Our first two guests, Susanna Davis, she's our Director of Programming at Grant Us Hope, and James Stallworth, a principal in the Princeton City School District.
For the last 8 years, I served as a high school principal, and I saw programs come and go that were the flavor of the month and the next best thing. My name is Susanna Davis, and I am the very proud Director of Programming at Grant Us Hope. As a principal, I watched these programs come, and mental health and suicide were not things that I wanted my students to be talking about. In our school environment, in our community, we wanted mental health professionals to be having those discussions. And so when I was introduced to the Grant Us Hope program, and the Hope Squad program specifically, I went in very skeptical. After going through training and hearing the power of student voice and the empowerment of students, I quickly became a fan and wanted this in my school. Over the course of the last 2.5 years, I watched as Hope Squads transformed the culture in our school and our community. It empowered students in ways that they had never been empowered before, and it met them in a space that they were already living. They were quick to tell me that these were conversations they were having on a regular basis, and unfortunately, they never knew what to do with them. So for me to watch the transformation of our students and the ability for them to meet their peers in these spaces and have conversations and dialogue through curriculum and training as the backbone, I quickly became a believer, and not only a believer, but a cheerleader. I am here today to tell you about the power of Hope Squads and the ability to save student lives, to transform school culture, and to be transformational in the conversations around teenage mental health and suicide prevention.
Last year, our district was selected to have a Hope Squad. While we're doing our training, our preparation, our planning, we were unfortunately lost a 6th grader to suicide. My name is James Stallworth. I'm the 7th grade principal at Princeton Community Middle School. This tragic event moved it from something that was a district mandate and imperative to something that we had to make work. For me, this event was a personal reminder of my own struggle. My father completed suicide, and I myself am a survivor of a failed attempted suicide. So it's not just as an administrator, but it's also as someone who has to go through and realize the power of an organization such as this. In my role as a principal, that means that you have to dive into the work completely. I didn't just support it, I really needed to know how are we going to do this with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So I needed to make sure that I took an active role in this. I became a QPR instructor because I wanted to make sure that not only are we doing it for our Hope Squad members, not only are we doing it for our advisors, but I'm finding a way to do QPR for an entire staff. It's something that is just that important to us. Each day I stop in, I check in with the students, I check in with the teachers, and I want to make sure that I see the work that they're doing, supporting their peers and changing the future of our school, changing the course of our world. As one of the most diverse schools in our region, our needs are equally as diverse. We have students that are African American, white, Asian, and we have an increasing Latino population. In fact, we have students that are predominantly our English as a second language students, and as a way of supporting them and students in our building, they've taken to reading 1st and 2nd grade picture books for our students with multiple disabilities. So in a way that they're going through and they're empowering themselves and practicing their language, but they're also reaching out to students of a special education population that because of our current pandemic aren't able to get the touch or closeness of their peers that they usually are. And so those students, because of the training that they've received, the compassion that they've received, and the importance of connection, they're going and finding ways to reach out for students that could be at risk because of that separation, because of our current pandemic. As an administrator, one of the things I always see is that how do we use everything that we're going through and doing in our classrooms with our teachers, with our students on a day-to-day level in the day-to-day work. And this is something that I am pretty much passionate about, and that's working with Hope Squad. And they remind me why I do what I do and why I support it the way that I do.
As we begin to emerge from the pandemic and we begin to look at what education means in the future, I know that the Hope Squad program is the gateway to a revolution of dramatic proportions when it comes to social emotional learning and the culture of our schools.
We are a peer-based teen suicide prevention squad.
We were nominated by our peers as someone they would trust to go to if they were ever struggling with mental health issues or they just needed someone to talk to and vent to.
We're trained to recognize warning signs, encourage peers to seek help from adults, and asking someone if they're considering taking their own life.
In short, we're the intermediaries between student and adult help.
You can come to us, or we'll come to you.
We want to create and preserve a safe and welcoming environment that allows students to be themselves and freely open up about their struggles.
We are always here to spread positivity and remind everyone that they are so loved.
Our most adored Hope Squad member is Angelo, our resident therapy dog.
And we will come to you if we're concerned about you and your health because we love you and care for you.
Don't forget that we love you and we're always here for you. And remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are amazing.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at SUA Hope Squad.
When I was in the 7th grade, one of my classmates and close friends told me that they're having suicidal thoughts, and they told me that they didn't want me to tell anyone, so I kept it to myself for the longest time, and I offered advice and support to them, but I really wasn't able to fully give them the help that they needed because I wasn't trained in that and I didn't have the proper tools that they needed. So over time, they got better, and as months went on, they progressed and they weren't as suicidal, and they were happier, and these thoughts just went away over time. But about a year after that, their suicidal thoughts came back, and I was able to recognize that with warning signs and using my Hope Squad training. So my name is Claire Eskew, and I am a freshman at Ferguson Hall. I am in my 2nd year of being a Hope Squad member, and I'm really excited to be a part of this group. So the second time that these suicidal thoughts came back, I was trained in QPR, and I had learned to recognize red flags and warning signs. Some of these warning signs include saying things like, I can't do this anymore, I don't want to live, I want to kill myself. You can even more subtle things such as being tired all the time or not getting enough sleep, getting too much sleep, or zoning in and out of conversations. Poor hygiene is also one of the smaller symptoms of suicidal thoughts. And over time, I started to see this develop in my friends, and I was able to recognize this, and I began to ask her using QPR. I used question, and I asked her directly, are you thinking about suicide? And her response to me was, yes, I am, but I am not motivated to do it yet. So I knew she wasn't in immediate danger, which was another thing I was trained on, and I was able to get her the help that she needed within 2 days. And in these 2 days, she was with a counselor and Hope Squad advisor, and over time, she made progress in the right direction. One of the hardest things for me was asking her, is she suicidal, and confronting her, because you never know if someone will respond negatively or positively to that response. And working up the courage to ask her that was something I had to really learn in my training, but having a network behind me and Hope Squad advisors standing by my side the whole time, it really taught me to work up the courage to be able to ask that. I'm really glad that I did ask her though. She is so much better now. Her suicidal thoughts have subsided. They're not there anymore, and she texted me 2 weeks ago, and she just thanked me for being there and getting her the help that she needed, and it really turned her life around. And she said she wouldn't know where she would be today if it weren't for our Hope Squad advisors and our counselors and Hope Squad in general. So I would like to thank all the people who make Hope Squad possible. You have really turned so many people's lives around and helped me help the people who need help in general. So thank you.
As a parent, we all worry about our kids. I probably worry a little bit more than others because of mental illness. I almost lost my husband about 5 years ago due to mental illness, as he attempted suicide twice. So every day I think about him, and I worry about whether or not my children are going to struggle with the same things.
When Tommy came home from Elder High School, letting us know that he was a member of the Hope Squad, a group that's selected by his peers, a group that reaches out and is there for other kids, it's probably the most proud I've ever been of the young man to this point. I immediately,
Well, we hadn't even told him. He didn't even know the story. He didn't know, I mean, we expressed to him how proud we were of him for being selected, how important it was. We've always tried to raise both of our children to tell them that they just need to be, you don't have to like everybody, but you have to be nice to everybody. If you ever see that kid that's struggling on the playground, that's being bullied, you need to be nice to them. And so that being selected by his peers was so important to us, but again, even more so because of Greg's history. So we took the opportunity to tell him Greg's story.
And it was a story that is not easy to tell, but what it's done is knock the walls down of that stigma about not talking about mental health. When you go to an all-boys school, it's probably harder because that's not what you talk about. You don't talk about your feelings. You talk about the football game on Friday. You talk about girls. You talk about other sports and music and whatever, anything and everything else besides mental health. Well, that's a problem. It's something that, for me, I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky my family's still intact. A lot of families aren't. And I think moving forward, having a group like Hope Squad, having young men like my son Tommy be a resource for other kids it's huge. This is something that could have saved lives many years ago. It's unfortunate that this has to exist, but the reality is it does. And the reality is that it's something that needs to start being on the forefront of everybody's minds and being on the tip of everybody's tongue, ready to talk about, because we're going to save people's lives. If my son's able to help somebody, help another student, help one of his peers that he was nominated and selected by, he's able to help them, he's able to save that life and save a family from being completely torn apart forever. There's nothing better. There can't be anything better. So it's something that, I think, like I said, being a guy, it makes it tough. This is an organization and this is a group that has to be in every school moving forward to save these kids' lives, because it's taken too many good kids. It's taken too many kids in general that with just the right help, they'd probably still be here today.
Hello. 2 years ago around this time, I was able to make the keynote speech at the Butterfly Bash with Grannis Hope, talking about how to challenge the darkness as a high school student. Since then, not only have I graduated, but my work with Grannis Hope hasn't ended yet. Challenging the darkness in high school looked like challenging my peers when they would make ignorant comments, such as jokes about suicide or jokes about mental health in general. Sometimes it was much larger than that. It was systemic. It was helping a peer who was struggling with their mental health when no one else seemed to realize. As an adult, I've realized this darkness that I was able to understand as a high schooler is much more around us as we get older. And the worst part is not everyone sees it. As you get older, the darkness gets darker and darker, and it seems like the lights are even more few. However, Hope Squad taught me I wasn't alone, not only in my own struggles with mental health, but being a mental health advocate for life. Hope Squad has given me a network of students who think just like me and are passionate about mental health the same way I am. Currently at Miami, I serve as one of the student trustees on Miami's Board of Trustees. This is a 2-year term, and I was appointed as a freshman in college by Governor Mike DeWine. I was appointed due to my platform on mental health challenges in post-secondary education. The gap is much bigger, and I claimed it to be one of the biggest gaps we have in higher education. How was I able to see this darkness and truly understand it? You guessed it, Hope Squad. As a high schooler, I was able to learn these challenges, but not only that, I was able to figure out that I am able to challenge any darkness I set my sights on. Right now, I am aspiring to work in the government, but particularly the Department of Education. In this role, I would hope to one day be able to create a system where suicide prevention and mental health awareness is taught in all schools, particularly K through 12. Hope Squad has quite literally shaped what I want to do with the rest of my life, and I am eternally grateful to Grannis Hope to give me the opportunity to find my passion so young in high school. However, our work is not done. We all have to be lights. We all have to be mental health advocates, and we have to step up to the plate and support Hope Squads in all we do.
Hey guys.
We know things are weird right now.
The Hope Squad is here for you.
But we want to remind you that
hope is not canceled.
Life has been hard and some days feel long.
your feelings are valid.
And you need to know you're not alone in these feelings.
This is a moment to have honest conversations.
Let's care well for one another.
Let's live with more grace,
more compassion,
More forgiveness.
more understanding.
Know that it's okay to ask for help.
No matter how bad things may seem,
no matter how many unknowns we face.
Let's lean into the good stuff that remains.
Conversations are not canceled.
Relationships are not canceled.
Love is not canceled.
Hope is not canceled.
We are in this together.
We are better together.
Hope is not canceled.
Keith, those were such, incredibly powerful stories, but they were great stories of hope too.
Absolutely, and we hear those stories that grant us hope on a regular basis. Young people doing great work to help keep their peers going and safe, and we want folks to help us continue that mission. So very important. Tonight, everybody at home, even though we're not together, everybody at home can be a part of making this a reality and saving lives across Ohio.
We need them. We need all that help.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so what we need you to do at the end of the day to achieve our mission is to give. We appreciate it. We really do.
Absolutely, and I have the honor right now of introducing one of our newest staff members at Grant Us Hope, our Vice President of Development, Holly End. And she'll take a moment and talk with you a little bit about tonight's work and introduce our founder and board chair, Diane Egbers.
Thank you so much, Tanya and Keith. Earlier this year, I met Diane Egbers and learned about Grant Us Hope for the first time. And I had known about a lot of nonprofits and met wonderful, inspiring leaders prior as the Greater Cincinnati United Way Chief Development Officer. But none of them touched me as much as Diane and the work of Grant Us Hope. The life-saving difference that our organization makes in this community because of Diane and because of you just is undeniable. So thank you all for all that you do. And I look forward to meeting all of you very, very soon. Diane is the embodiment of hope. She inspires us in our work every single day, not just by what she has already created, but by the vision that she has for the future. And so without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Diane.
Thank you, Holly. We are so happy to have you on our team. And thank you to all of our speakers, sponsors, dedicated board members, and amazing Grant Us Hope team. Your commitment and stories of hope inspire me, just like I know they inspire so many of you joining us at home tonight. For me, these stories are evidence of the power of hope, a hope that is built upon the legacy of our son, Grant. It is his legacy that drives our mission. It is our true goal, our passion, to make this the last generation of young people who struggle to find access to resources when they're faced with mental health issues and suicide ideation. Grant Us Hope was founded because our son Grant was suffering and was unable to connect with the interventions he so desperately needed. As a sophomore at 15, Grant was a student that everyone thought had it all. He was handsome, outgoing, fun, caring, charismatic, and accomplished. But he would say to me, "Mom, look at me. I have everything going for me, and yet I feel sad." Pretty much all of the time. When we learned he was in crisis, it was terrifying and immobilizing. Our family was not able to find the help we needed to support Grant in the short 4 months we had. The last appointment we had with a provider, a few days before we lost Grant, we were told he would need to make another attempt in order to get more help. Unfortunately, he didn't survive his second attempt to end his pain. For Grant, help was too little, too late. During the aftermath of losing Grant, it was only through faith and hope that our family started to heal. We knew Grant's legacy had to be built on this hope. His caring spirit would provide a beacon for other young people suffering from pain, mental illness, and suicide. And so I founded Grant Us Hope in 2016 And here we are in 2020, almost 5 years later, and by grace and the dedication of the Grant Us Hope team, Grant's legacy is having a profound impact. Today, Grant Us Hope supports 151 Hope Squads with 6,500 members. The #1 preventative measure of stopping suicide is peer-to-peer support. We know this, which means that in our current programs, 400,000 students have access to support from their peers every single day. Only by creating a connected culture of inclusion can we end the stigma around mental health and suicide. That's why Grant Us Hope uniquely focuses on a 3-year blueprint for changing the culture in every school. In year 1, we focus on building an understanding and trust one-to-one with conversations among students. In year 2, the student body begins to believe and feels empowered. The word is out, support is here, and we start to see the student culture shift. By year 3, those students at risk actually come forward directly to get help. They know they matter and belong, and they get the support they need. We've already seen powerful results. The first 8 schools we worked in had experienced 12 suicides a year prior to Hope Squad, and now, 4 years later, there are still 0 suicides. It works, and we are transforming the culture. Grant's legacy and the power of hope are amplified now, and we grow because we are the first continuous versus episodic program in Ohio. Put simply, our students are always there for their peers. And so, for the path ahead, what are the ways that we need your help? First, we want to focus on access. We believe that zip code should never determine access to our Hope Squad program. Our rural and urban schools need our help urgently. Our intervention must be early and often. We must get not only for our students with singular issues like anxiety, but for our students with more complex needs. They need our help. Like Grant, so many of them want to go to school, be healthy, and be part of an inclusive environment. This will help us to change the dialogue around mental health and suicide prevention. Second, we seek to be the best resource for parent education, especially when families are in crisis with a student who is experiencing suicidal ideation. Our precious young people like Grant don't want to die. They want to end the pain. Let's help them end that pain through education and access to services. Finally, and most importantly, we trust and believe in this generation of students to lead the way forward. By being more inclusive and providing support to their peers, they are transforming our school cultures. The stories we heard tonight reaffirm my belief in the power of hope. Let us all share this hope and become better advocates and ambassadors together to share the good news about our students and the transformational work happening in our schools. Because we trust in our students' voices, their advocacy, their strength to lead this movement, we know that this will be the last generation of young people we lose to suicide. Thank you for caring enough to be here tonight and to support this vital work. Enjoy your evening.
Our pride in Tommy and our experience with Grant Us Hope has truly changed our lives, and we believe that it can change others' lives and also save lives. That's why we've made the decision to support Grant Us Hope with our first donation. Tonight, we are asking you to consider supporting Grant Us Hope as well. If you are already supporting us, thank you. If you've not yet made a gift, we ask that you join Greg and I in our first donation. Grant Us Hope and Tommy's involvement in the Hope Squads has truly changed our lives. Help us to provide that chance to other kids and to more schools.
We also want you to share the information and the stories you heard here tonight with friends, families, coworkers, or anyone who will listen. What we're doing is changing the lives of young people and their families moving forward as they're going through their journey with mental health, with their journey of growing up in this crazy world that we live in today. Thank you for being a part of this night tonight. Thank you for being a part of Grant Us Hope. Thank you very much.
As always, Diane Egbers knows how to inspire people, inspire all of us. And I know that as we are talking to our friends and neighbors over the next several days, we're going to be talking about this.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, one of the things that Diane said to me early on when I joined Grant Us Hope was she really wants to make sure that no family has to experience the loss that they did. And so you can be a big part of that tonight as we're wrapping things up. You know, we've got an opportunity as a larger community to come together at a time when our young people are struggling and they really do need our support. We can support our schools and the educators to make sure that we've got cultures that support kids and they're growing up. We want to make sure that families don't have to suffer through a loss like too many families have. And lastly, we want to make sure that our young people have an opportunity to grow up safe, healthy, and strong.
As always, I want you to know what an incredible honor it is to be part of the Butterfly
Thank
Bash,
you.
to do anything with Grant Us Hope, because what you do is a mission of good and it is spreading all over the communities.
Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful that I can be part of it. You can still be part of it too. If you haven't given yet, there's time. The silent auction runs until Sunday night. You can still continue to give anytime. We certainly appreciate any dollars that we can get to continue this extraordinary mission.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And before we go, we want to bring everyone who participated back to say goodnight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks from all of us.
Thank you from PCMS Hope Squad. Gracias. Adios.
Thank you.
Thanks from all of us.
Thank you.
Had to have high hopes for living. Shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high